There is an inverse relationship between income per person and total fertility among countries around the world. It can be observed that fertility is much lower among educated women and is often higher among women whose families depend on land and other assets for their livelihood. There is a noticeable pattern that countries seeing an increasing GDP per capita over time have a lower total fertility. Generally speaking, the richer the people in the country are, the lower the overall fertility will be. In addition to this relationship being observed across different countries and GDP per capita, the relationship can also be seen as a factor that has changed substantially over time in many areas of the world. Because of this, total fertility can provide insights into trends, events, and policies developed over time. By examining 3 distinct countries in North America, Europe, and East Asia, we can begin to see these insights. It is not definite whether or not there is a direct correlation between income and total fertility, but there is a clear trend.
The United States of America has seen fluctuations in total fertility rate throughout the past 2 centuries. The Great Depression, World War II, 1970s energy crisis, and contraceptive innovations significantly impact the total fertility rate in relation to income. With health advancements, more women have used birth control to limit family size. According to World Bank, birth rate was approximately 1.88 births per woman in 2012. Throughout the 1800s, income stayed the same, however, birth rates steadily decreased. This can be attributed to the second cholera pandemic and lack of sanitation provisions. The first large decrease in income is between 1930 and 1940. Here, birth rate quickly decreases after World War II ended. The birth rate significantly increases between 1944 and 1958, also known as the baby boomer generation. However, income only slightly decreases. The advancement of contraceptives in the 1960s significantly decreases birth rate to approximately 1.5 as income increases slightly. Beginning in 1988, income steadily increases until 2015 as birth rate stays around 2. It is evident that there is a correlation between income and birth rate in the United States. Although income is higher today, modern contraceptives are keeping the birth rate lower.
From the 16th century through World War I, major portions of Armenia were controlled by the Ottoman Turks. For the duration of the 1800s, while under their control, Armenia had a very high children per woman at around 8. The Ottomans were known for their use of children as active parts of the empire, especially when the younger generation became the main labor force as adult men were mobilized during World War I. In 1915, the Ottoman Empire carried out the Armenian genocide, and this mass killing lasted from 1915 to 1923. From 1930 to 1945, there is another drastic drop in total fertility. In 1922, Armenia was incorporated into the USSR. By the 1930s, dictator Joseph Stalin began to send millions of individuals, including many Armenians, to labor camps. Around this same time, Soviet Armenia participated in World War II from 1939 to 1945, sending hundreds of thousands of soldiers into battle. From the 1930s through the 1960s, industrialization took place under Stalin's regime. In 1991, Armenia's last year as a Soviet republic, national income fell 12% from the previous year. In the first years of independence, inflation was extremely high, productivity and national income dropped dramatically, and the national budget ran large deficits.
China is the country with the largest population at 1.4 billion. As of 2015, the contraceptive prevalence rate is 84.6%, and the total fertility rate is 1.6 children born per woman. However, this wasn't always the case, and there was and still is stress on the country's natural resources and environment. In the early 1950s, China's women on average have more than 6 children. Nevertheless, the total fertility rate dropped in the late 1950s and early 1960s as a result of the Great Leap Forward, which led to one of the largest famines in history. This rate rose back to 6 children per woman in the late 1960s because of Mao's belief that a large population would increase China's military, economic, and political power. However, with pressure from population planners and politicians, China's one-child policy was instituted in 1980. This policy has been successful statistically, but has been seen as controversial in terms of implementation, which led to abortions, infanticide, and strict penalties. Around 200 million fewer Chinese were born as a result of the program. Even though there is still a net increase of about 1 million people each month, this policy has conserved China's resources and allows its GDP to increase as it has developed into one of the most powerful countries in the world. In conclusion, when people have smaller families, economies change fundamentally. With fewer children, parents invest more in each child's education, increasing skills and human capital. People tend to save more for their retirement, so more is available for investment. And women move into paid employment, boosting the size of their overall workforce. Based on these factors and other analysis of other countries, we conclude that lowering the fertility rate plays a key role in increasing standards of living and increasing GDP.